Hi, my name is Stanley, and as of today, I have been on testosterone for 1 whole year. Technically, my year anniversary isn't until the 11th of January, but for some reason, I've been counting in like increments of 4 weeks. I don't know why, but that's how it is. So just take my word for it. It's a year. Today, I want to talk a bunch about my experiences on T that I've had this year, just for my own sake, if nothing else, because I think it's really important to log your own transition if you're trans, because then you have stuff to look back on. And I have a whole year of video clips that I recorded each month while on T, just talking about my feelings and the changes I've experienced. And it's so interesting to look back on them and think about where I was versus where I am now and how things have changed. First of all, I might as well just start with the voice comparison over the past year, because that's like the interesting part. I'm sure that's why you're here.
4 weeks on T, 2 months on T, 3 months on T, 4 months on T, 5 months on T,
6 months on testosterone,
7 months on T, 8 months on T, 9 months on T, 10 months on T,
11 months. This is my voice, 12 months on T. You can actually see the tiny bottle over there. That's my tea. My voice dropped incredibly gradually, almost to the point where I didn't notice it was dropping until about 6 months in, and people started telling me that my voice had changed. I don't know if I'm fully happy with how it is right now. I don't know if it's even settled into where it will be permanently. I feel like my voice is still pretty feminine, and I know part of that is down to how I talk, but yeah, sometimes I still get dysphoria over my voice, but it's definitely like way better than it was before. When I hear clips of myself from pre-T or at the beginning, I feel like I sound like a child. It's really weird to me. So with the rest of the changes, I'll just do the classic head to toe approach that everyone does. So with hair, my hair has actually gotten way curlier than it was pre-T, and if you compare it to my old YouTube videos, I think in some of the early ones I was still straightening my fringe, but it was kind of just a bit wavy, and now it's like proper curls. And at first I was like, how do I deal with this? But now I love it. It's really nice. My hairline is starting to change a little bit. It's starting to get more angular, but I think it's only just beginning to change. So, you know, I think that's something that's going to take maybe another year or so before that is sort of fixed, until eventually I lose my hair, which, you know, hopefully that's not anytime soon, but we'll see. I think my face shape has definitely changed. It's thinner, like slimmer. There's less squish on my cheeks, and my jaw is more angular. I can see it when I look at old photos, but it's one of those things where I can't quite pinpoint what has changed. I always felt like I had quite a baby face, and I still do, but I feel like I look a bit older now because of how my face has changed, which is nice. My skin texture has changed a bit, but not massively. It's not like oily or anything, but I do get more spotty, and I go through phases where I have like a bunch of spots, but I feel pretty lucky that I never experienced like full-blown acne like some guys do. As with facial hair, I just get peach fuzz, and I get a really crappy mustache that comes in, and I just shave it every week. I think it will be a long time before I get proper facial hair. My brother and my dad have really solid facial hair, so maybe, you know, in a couple of years I might be able to grow a beard, but if I don't feel like sad about it. It's fine. I'm not pining after a beard. As for body hair, I basically had like none, and now I have a little bit. It's not dark or super obvious, but it's there. It's basically just like gone mad on my legs and on my arms and my stomach and on my shoulders. The shoulder hair is weird. I'm not a fan of it because it's like wiry, whereas the rest of my body hair isn't, so that's weird. As for like body recomposition, I haven't really noticed much, if any. I think I'm like a tiny bit more muscular, but I don't work out or exercise, even though I should, and eventually I will, but not yet because it's winter and I want to hibernate. That's not an excuse, but yeah, I think recomposition is something that can take a long time unless you have quite a drastic change in your weight, so that'll probably happen over a few years. Yeah, my period stopped about 4 months in, which I feel like was pretty early. I haven't had anything since, and I feel so blessed. I am so happy. It's something I literally forget I even had, which is very strange when you are trans and you have dysphoria and you spend years of your life just suffering every month. It was a really hard time when it did happen for me. It was like traumatic, and to be in a place where I forget I even experienced it feels really good. And also maybe I need to remind myself sometimes that happened and practice a little bit of gratitude, because that's really cool. I never thought that would happen. As for non-physical changes, one of the earliest things I experienced on tea was an appetite increase. And for me, that's something that's sort of fluctuated well on tea, and it might be because my dose hasn't really been consistent this year. I'm still, even right now, trying to figure out where I need to be in terms of my levels. But yeah, I definitely can eat more now than I used to. I also get irritable easier, but that's, again, something that's become more manageable the longer I've been on tea. And the last thing that, again, fluctuates is that sometimes I find it harder to cry, and this is coming from someone who used to cry a lot, even at happy things. And it's not like I can't cry, I still can. It just takes a bit more, something more to make me cry. So I don't think it's a bad thing when it comes to serious situations where I need to let out that emotion. I just have to work on it and figure it out. I think that's something I'm just gonna keep trying to manage. Now I want to talk a little bit about dysphoria. Before I went on tea, my expectation of starting tea was that my dysphoria would plummet. And in the first few months, it absolutely did the opposite of that. It got so bad, and I think it's because I was so fixated on those initial changes. I had the excitement and the high of starting tea, and then once that went away, I was just kind of sitting there like, why hasn't anything happened yet? And it had been like 2 months.
So you end up in this like limbo. You're on tea, you finally started it, but nothing's really happened yet. And it's in your body and it's doing its thing, but you still look how you did before, you still sound like you did before. When is it gonna happen? When is a big change gonna happen? And it makes time very slow.
And really, throughout this whole year, my dysphoria has fluctuated. Even recently, it's gone up a bit. It just keeps going up and down. And it's shit. I don't like it. I don't think that's necessarily because of tea. It's because of the way tea has made me fixate on parts of my body and has made me compare my journey to other trans guys or other people on tea. I remember sitting there at 3 months and thinking, why doesn't my voice sound male? And at a year, part of my brain is like, why doesn't my voice sound male? Because to me right now, it doesn't sound masculine. And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Kind of doesn't matter, because changes are happening and have happened. And even if my voice sits where it is for the rest of my life, I am still going to have to come to a place of acceptance. Even if I sounded fully masculine and I passed, I feel like some part of my brain somewhere would still be like, hey, you don't sound masculine. And I think that is the trouble with dysphoria, and you have to push yourself away from it and disconnect from it, because otherwise it can just swallow you up, like other things mentally can. So a lot of this year for me has been dealing with my relationship with myself and my dysphoria, and coming to terms with how my body is and how it is changing, and acknowledging changes when they do happen and really truly trying to appreciate them, rather than looking at something that's happened and thinking that's not enough. I don't want to get trapped in that feeling of this is not enough, because I could spend my whole life feeling down about myself because of it, rather than looking at my past self and thinking I have come really far. Unfortunately, though, something I've been dealing more with the past few months especially has been chest dysphoria, but now I have set up a plan in place for saving for top surgery, and it is going to take me a long time, unfortunately, but having something in place and putting it into motion is making me feel a lot better. I'm hoping it's going to motivate me to just be better with my finances and exercise and food and health and all these things that will eventually hopefully contribute to the results that I want. Despite all these struggles with my emotions and dysphoria and everything on tea, I think overall it has been a really positive experience for me, and something I did desperately need, and I've always known that I've needed as long as I've figured out I was trans. And I feel so much more confident in myself and how I carry myself, and I can do things I never thought I'd be able to do. I can talk with a group of people, that I barely know, and not feel too awkward or too embarrassed. Whereas in the past, I would have never even tried to speak. And yeah, there is some element of dealing with social awkwardness and socialization that maybe I am lacking in some ways. But at least he has given me the confidence to at least start learning that. And I'm so grateful. And I'm so excited for where tea is going to take me over the next few years. Even though I have been on tea for a year, I'm not in a position where I pass very often. And when I do pass, it's like an amazing feeling. I've tried to keep my expectations realistic and know that I may possibly never pass all the time, but I'm starting to be able to do things like go to the barbers and use the men's toilets occasionally, even if I am absolutely terrified when I do. I'm really looking forward to the next year or more on tea to see where things take me and see how I continue to change. I'm mostly just excited to age in a masculine way, whatever that means. Something about that, the thought of it, gives me that sweet gender euphoria that I crave. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it informative, or at the very least entertaining to watch my face and voice change over the course of a year, and I'll see you next time.